Happy 420, 2024. All right, I'm going to be doing some stuff here. That sound is my new kitten. So the movie is going to be here. Right, coming to you live from the island area of Logan, Utah today, 420, 7:19 p.m. And we're going to set up the video here. We'll just start talking. I don't know who, if anybody, will come. Not screen share. Try closing. I don't have any streaming software. Alright, so I think what I need to do is just go live here. Alright, looks like it's not going to go till 7:30, so we'll hope that works. So, this is the 10th anniversary. 10 years ago today, I was in Civic Center Park, Denver, Colorado, for the 420 celebration. Marijuana had been completely legalized, and there is a big field of people there ready to all smoke marijuana at 4:20 p.m. And so that's what we did. And I had my camera. This camera, which I had since for about 3 years at that time. This camera here, even though that's not going out. And I set it up in the back, and I had my dog. And it was hot, but I photographed this enough of this to really make the opening scene in this movie. And I would make other vlogs, video vlogs, and from since the time I got it, and particularly, I guess you could say after I went to Denver. Didn't really do it in Denver, but on the way home, and what happened after that. And so, anyway, I was living my life in Logan. I don't want to spoil the story, but I went to the film festival there. It was still called the Logan Film Festival at this point, and there was a movie about Warren Jeffs and polygamy. It was a pretty fascinating movie. One of the somehow creative persons in it, I believe, was that guy who also did like Under the Banner of Heaven and some things like that. Anyway, I went home from that and decided that I should try to make a documentary. So I just started going through all of them and just went from there. I had iMovie on my Mac, and so I was just starting these little things. So then I decided, well, I'm going to start interviewing some people. And then I had about 15 people. Before I knew it, one person would lead to the other. And so then I kind of started to figure out, how I could flow it through, and I came up with the idea of using kind of the seasons, which I thought was pretty fun. Once I landed there, then we go through the seasons, even though it was a 2-year period, and story arc, whatever. We're supposed to go live here in a few minutes. So, it was in the film festival in Logan a couple of years later, when it finally everything came together, and it went through this site here, which is, I should say, is a wonderful site. I can't think of sites that do what they are supposed to do so well as this. And basically, there's a page there for the film. You can view it. You can control when people see it. So I've opened it up so they can see it, and then you can apply to all the film festivals if you want to. That's just been there for a few years. So I was going to talk for another 10 minutes. If no one comes on, we'll see what happens. One thing I will say that is, after that 10 years ago, 5 years later, I went back to kind of recreate the whole thing, because it was not just going to the 420, it was the whole thing, and I'd like picked this city I wanted to go to and made a dry run out there and checked everything out. So when I was headed over there, didn't look like I was coming back soon. Let's put it that way. There was stuff in storage, but pretty much I was ready to just lead a new life there. this thing's not. Well, we should know right now. This will save though. The one that's going on Facebook will definitely save. All right, we're live. All right, I don't know if anybody's going to see this or not, but we'll just go here. Maybe I should expand it. All right, my name's Steve German, coming to you live and direct from the island in Logan, Utah. And this is the 10th anniversary of my documentary, The Cost of Being Different. And I thought I would do this. I think probably nobody's going to watch, but it'll be there if they want to go back. I don't know what that is. Because there's a lot of stuff that was live during the pandemic that I didn't see when it was going. But, and as I said, we always have the federal government. They're always in their room too. So the other stakeholders. So the film is here. I filmed Freeway. I guess I should. Well, it's in the other post, so I guess they're just gonna have to. We're just gonna have to act like you didn't see it. So you'd go to this filmfreeway.com/860751, and then you can play it, and we'll start at 7:40. I'll start it at 7:40 here. And then I think if you had this up on your computer, and if you could play both websites at the same time and get the commentary, but you might have to use a couple different devices. So when I do my vlogs, I usually have a sponsor, and I guess we should we should continue that again. So the sponsor is Odell's IPA. The reason is that's when I went to Denver and drank a quote-unquote shitload of IPAs. When all was said and done, I like this one the best. So we'll relive that in the kind of opening scene. You'll see me drinking beer, and that was the Odell IPA that I decided on. So after this was shown at the film festival, a couple of years later, I showed it at the Eagles when I was living in Salt Lake, the Eagles Club here, Fraternal Order of Eagles, and then I didn't have any more public viewings, but I did put it up on Amazon.com, and it was on Amazon.com for a short period of time. If you Google it, it will come up, but they stopped showing it for, they wouldn't go into the details of why they stopped showing it, so it could be this or it could be that. You got paid like 11 cents each time. I'm not sure I should disclose that. Bezos could get mad at me, but And so it's like, it was not a moneymaker for somebody like Amazon that's making money left and right. But they've kept the page up, which is kind of curious. And when I asked them to take it down, next thing I know, it's all scraped onto another one for Paramount. So I don't know. So I just said, okay, whatever. I guess that's the way it is. What can you do? A couple things that I would do different. One kind of more on the creative, technical, and the other on the more strategic. That's my kitty. Damn kitty. There, I might have to go grab him. But I had really no idea I was making this as I was going along for most of it. I did get a little mic later on, but the sound was totally just what the camera would do and this little mic would do, and I would do the sound differently with a boom. I don't really like the way the things look. I think that day is gone, and I did have try to get a sound guy who, rest in peace, Herc, was a real well-respected sound guy in Salt Lake, to do something, and I couldn't even tell that he did anything. You know, it's like, if you don't get it right the first time, there's just not much you can do with it. Yeah, that was just something where I wasn't even far enough along with the filmmaking to do that. And the other thing would probably be in the legal release end. I didn't get any kind of model releases from anyone. We'll just hold on for 1 second. You come here. Boy, if this isn't good for your ratings, what is? But didn't get any kind of model release, and it just didn't even occur to me. There's also, even though I got permission on the music, there's a certain kind of like license that you should have, I guess, that I didn't have, probably because I wasn't paying. You know, I when I started doing it, I just assumed everyone would be a team player, everybody I interviewed, and I don't know why I assumed that. I guess that's kind of just one of the stories of my life, but and you know, some people want to disrupt stuff or whatever. Things can change. People's opinions can change over the period, and though I'm not sure if somebody asked me to just and I've done it before, sign a release and having no idea. Like I signed this thing for this guy's rock video and went on as a Trump protester, like one of the guys that held the tiki torches, you know, with the khakis and everything. And I basically signed out. That guy could have done anything and probably did do anything with that. But I don't know. People could hold it hostage or whatever, and then it's just the awkwardness of doing the whole thing. So I don't know that I'd want to do another I would love to do it. I love to do it. And if I think I had more, just a tiny bit more technical advancement, I could be right in there. You know, or Netflix behind me or something like that. You know, then I could do a really good job. Because I thought the creative parts of it and stuff worked pretty well. Oh, I have one other thing I'll say before we get going here. This is one of my interviewees, Jeff Buis did this, and this is Rusey. Rest in peace, Rusey, I guess. You can assume, you know, dogs don't live forever. So if your dog was in there 10 years ago, might not be alive. But he's a person that's probably progressed as much as anyone, and definitely has a distinct painting style. And I was really happy you did that for me. So I let him know. I don't want to answer any kind of comments or anything here. Oh, come on, kitty. Alright. Alright, we'll do this here. So you want to go to this filmfreeway.com there. And I'll comment on this before we get the clock rolling. I just did that because I thought maybe it would make it look more professional. It's kind of like an Andy Warhol thing to do and everything. And it was the Sony. Oh, this is what. Oh, shit. All right, so 1, 2, 3. That was a joke, if you didn't get that. Disclaimer. Yeah, start your video at 7:40. Thank you, Al. Haven't seen Al for a while, but he did make it better. This is in Preston. There's just something on NPR about the idea of a eye-to-eye contact with another animal. Eye-to-eye epiphany. Beautiful mountains up there in the spring. All right, this is Mill Creek in Salt Lake. And this is the house I was living in. Postman didn't like the dog. Fireworks at the 4th of July, the 24th of July. All right, yeah. Just playing around with things. All right, there we are, Denver. So there I was, setting up his back there. We'll go up a little bit closer here now. So it took about 45 seconds for this place to get high once they started smoking. A minute or two, and everybody was totally changed. This chick was the total archetypical stoner. I would love to know who she was and what she's doing now. The thing she was doing with her pants is just too weird. Then Broncos. That's Bicycle Brett. He's a local hero. That's a little model. I'm actually about 2 feet off the ground. This is in a cheap motel. You can see I got the same beer. So yeah, I just got there and it just didn't, I got looking further away and it just didn't feel right. Few of these things I've touched on here definitely au courant in the way that the rental prices have just gone through the roof and how they want percentage of your income you use. I love that photo. That was just, I caught that in Cherry Creek. I drank a lot of beer on that trip. There it is in the midst of the festival. This guy he was always doing this thing with his hands in his joint. But that was great. Now everybody's super high. Well, I'm glad that some other people will have a chance to see it. I was kind of worried about showing it. I don't know. I had a lot to gain or a lot to lose by showing it. Obviously, if there was somebody who didn't want it shown, as per what happened on Amazon, that all the editing I just first learned, I just kind of got in there and just went at it, spent hours on end doing it. It's very addictive to do the editing and just to tweak little things and then go over it over and over it again. Talking about the business licenses. I like the way the yellow wall. I thought that was kind of cool to start. Didn't talk about the soundtrack too. The soundtrack is great. I think they flipped that law since I left. I'm pretty sure they did. Let's say in my Rain Man way. Right, this is when I weighed a lot more. In my nice house there. Escalante. I just kind of pieced this. I go around and take photos, and a lot of it was just piecing it with the photos I had. But I was a pretty happy camper in that interview, I'll have to admit. There's all my stuff, my kitchen camp. So that dog was an incredibly muscular, just she had such a nice coat. It never seemed to get dirty or even wet or anything. I won't spoil part of it, but she was a working dog, let's put it that way. one thing I learned is that most of the cuts you see on a film are like 2 to 4 seconds. If it's more than 4 seconds, yeah, I don't know. I guess it feels more like single camera. That's out on the west side of the valley here. Colfax, that was pretty gritty, I thought. That's New York. Another personal photo, and that's San Francisco, another personal photo. I thought that worked out really well. I'm slightly well traveled. I like big cities. So I was kind of sun-baked during that whole time. My most of my diet was liquid, so you can figure out what happened after that. What money they say? Yeah, the idea to put these kind of like terms in, add some terms. Yeah, it's my band clip there. Drive-by truckers. I was at a record store thing, or it was during that time. Hickenlooper, great catchy name, but he didn't do much, right? No, just kidding. I just realized those are really phallic. Nice view there, you know, where you are or not. This just happened, just on chance, and I just took it, just ran with it, decided he was in the shot, I decided to ask him some questions. He owned the sandwich shop that was across the street. I really like this in the art direction with this, the colors, and the whole thing, and the way the music came in a lot. Yeah. And how to make cheese. It's a side of my window that never got fixed. That's kind of good. And there's the island. I'm down here right now. I live down here. Let me straighten this up a little bit for you. There's a temple. Interesting looking building for sure. All right, my Jason Isbell let me use this music, so that's saying something. So yeah, I really like the way the color turned out, even though that's a bad motel. I like the color and the lighting on that a lot. You know, what I can say about my mood is just that's the way it happened, you know. Thanks, Jason. Yeah, that place was the Dreamcatcher ridden. That's the valley. Is that a beautiful valley or what? I mean, that is beautiful. Holy shit. This is free. If you're streaming for free, this is actually freer. All right, Ryoichi. I heard the movies are kind of supposed to make a twist at kind of in a while, and I think it does. So Ryuichi is the photography, the sculpture professor at USU, trained under Larry Elsner. He's from, you can hear the story. Another videographer did this and let me use it. That was nice. That's photo manipulation I did. Groundage, my painting professor. I think that egg stand is gone now. This just happened on one of my walks with my camera. I thought it was pretty amazing. That place is come and gone. That's from senior year of college. All right, this was the first interview I did, and there's some good things that came about it. Got the name. This is a little changing it into, I don't know, more informational. I like this footage a lot. These rents and the house values are way low now. Median gross rent $6.59 now. But the bus is still free. The bus is one of the great things about Cache Valley Transit District. They do a good job. It's a clean system. It works. It covers it. It's it's underused, but this is some old time partying. So this is kind of an instrumental number here, just piecing some things together, going up to Preston, just places around town. The beaver pelt trade, different ethnicity, little shops. Sandwich places is gone. There's my friend. And the old roller rink, of course, Merlin Olsen, famous son. Overrated or not. The guy who gave me the music, he did me a solid because he gave me a couple of them that are they really worked well. And he was pretty open about it. think the name of his band is Lionfish. So I started going up to Preston when I was like first year of college to get beer. Preston and then Franklin. So this is on Franklin. Oh, it's very peaceful and bucolic up there. You can tell a little bit of snow on the mountain still in April, or freshly plowed field, like a Gary Ernest Smith painting. And this is La Tienda, featured in Napoleon Dynamite. I don't know if you see that or not. And this is their little restaurant that they had there. I don't know if it's open. Talked about making this a drinking game. It's my friend Paul from the very first, well, just from college. He kind of explains who he is a little later, but he was a guy that we saw around a lot. This is an icon of the valley. That dam was just a couple miles away. I also like the back of his kitchen there, it looked pretty cool. That's kind of the best shot, still photo that I used. And I put this graphic together as a graphic designer to kind of show what he was talking about, is how all the major cities in the West are kind of equidistant around from where Logan is. Yeah, he's a good talker. He is a really good spokesman. Another kind of I don't know what it is, more information oriented little clip. But it's true, 300 miles, you can go 300 miles, and that's what I like to drive now at my age in a day. Well, this one would cooperate and was really nice. That just totally happened on the moment, and you can tell it was quite a snow environment there. I think she kind of helps tell the story in her own way. There are tons of people like her, especially since the pandemic, coming here. Texas, California, a couple big states that I see people coming here from. They're both big states too. This is kind of our landmark block there on Center Street. That's from the original, when it was a health food store. Until they just started specializing in coffee. There's my reflection. Now I see this meme a lot on social media that you got to be ready to do this with your life to get on with it. It's kind of true. You got to move somewhere, you're not going to have a bed the first night. And so this was a 55 and older community there. I stayed there for 2 years. It's hard to believe. I don't know, Yeah. That might have some nice sold. This is the junior high school. There's another brick in the wall, public domain. Do we owe Pink Floyd a royalty? Yeah, that piece of foam went on the whole trip. It went to Denver and back. Used it up by Blackfish. Used it camping one time. I like that photo a lot. This is during the cruise in, and I like this photo, and I like the fact that they're proud to have their son out there showing his ragtime stuff. This is a cemetery. I don't know if that's where I'll end up or not. It's in contention. They need to put in a bid. This is on my grandma's side. She came from a well-known Mormon stock. And that's Nibley. Charles W. Nibley. The town here is named after him. Golf course in Salt Lake. Big old headstone, eh? Did some research on photos up at the special collections. I like the way that turns out. It makes it look pretty. I don't know what it makes it look, but my mom took that my first year of college. They'd been on a trip to Cameron and came by to visit me. It's the house I lived in the last year of college. My friend Rebecca. This is just 10 times more with those apartments, and they're just going in. It's like Salt Lake. It's my friend Jeff, probably one of my best friends here. Met him the first time I was here. He lives real close. Jeff's a pretty worldly guy. He doesn't want to see this at all. A few people are like that. They're not really, they'll do it, but they're not really willing to see themselves in it. It takes a different type. Yeah, I did a lot of special collections, up the special collections getting these things, and most of them they just let you scan if you know how to do the research. So when I first came, he was growing vegetables and selling them at the market. Just the different fades, I probably overdid that. Probably using my rules for graphic design would reduce that down to just a few. Be consistent. But it's fun because that's what, that's why there's no money in graphic design anymore. It's fun to do. Overuse the Ken Burns effect. There's a good example, but that actually really works, I think. The license plates of the places where he was a Forest Service employee in the West. I approached that at UPR about doing something about it, and they just said they put a notice, and I even wrote Tom Williams specifically, and he didn't write me back. So obviously there's something in it they don't like, or who knows what. But I don't know. When I came back and started showing it again, people seem to really like some of the aspects of it. This is where our new brewery is here. We got a new brewery right there, believe it or not. That's a photo that shows up in the Google searches a lot. Nice little family photo. But yeah, I think just with professional camera work and sound work, I think that's what you need for the next step. This is in Paul's house. I think they look pretty good, man. But there's a thing where and there's a couple places here, if you need to illustrate something, it doesn't matter how bad it is, if it illustrates it. There you give him a hug. All right, this is a guy playing a minor role. This guy has the trivia. I would say the best trivia. I'll go out on a limb and say he's the best trivia master in Logan, Utah. He had a little comic shop at one time. He's a multi-talented guy. Talking about if Utahns have an accent. So I'm almost set up here. Still need my Pedialyte, but got my lifeline of my computer, my files. There's the place. This is where I was. Said lots of dream catchers. Vietnam veterans, disabled people in wheelchairs, old ladies. Some of them didn't like my dog. I would not. I would like to know if that guy still lives. He was really nice. He liked the dog a lot. This guy here. He was happy. He had diabetes. It's sad. Diabetes is a sad thing. It can be pretty bad. So my Uncle Bob had. It's a big flag there over by the In-N-Out Burger. Oh yeah, this is another great guy to interview. He was just somebody that I ran into in the Owl, and he was working as a mortgage lender, and he went to Tuskegee, and maybe a couple years older than I, maybe, I don't know, about the same age maybe, or he could be younger, but he was nice, you know. He was one of the more businessy persons that came into the Owl, and we just struck it up, a conversation, and so these are all from this I like, this little mischievous scientist over there. And these are the people I remember. Van Halen played at USU, and the Talking Heads. You know, you can't really have somebody on, you know, somebody else's personal journey is, if they're included in your story, is kind of important, so. So after a while, I kind of, you know, like I said, I kind of got an idea how to piece it together. Now this is kind of a mitzvah here. This is up at USU, and maybe this is why it's not on Amazon. I don't know. But this is Temple Grandin. If you don't know who Temple Grandin is, this won't make any sense at all. But Temple Grandin is an amazing person, singular in this world for what she does, and so she was speaking up there, you know. So she's most known as a person with autism and advocate for autism, but she was also a livestock handling theorist, I guess you could say. And there was a thing on HBO about her, a whole thing about her, but she's probably like the most well-known person with autism. And it just kind of came at this point. At this point, I still haven't gotten into the season thing. Kind of like talking about things before, you know. I don't know. This is true. But she's just great, you know. She was there signing her book, so she's got fanboys who are on the autism side and fanboys who are on the livestock handling side. I don't know what, you know, I don't know what the law is. At university, you think, you know, I mean, if they singled me out for doing this without permission, then it's kind of like you got to kill all social media on campus, but that will often what happens is you do a better job, and that's why they don't like you. It happens all the time to me. You're just doing a better job at whatever they're supposed to be doing, and so then they choose to not like you. But I never heard from her. I did put her as the second name. Okay, this is again a real fun part. So we are in the summer already now. This guy I was talking about had the perfect headbanging. So now we get into kind of the Utah history of Cache Valley, and that it was ripe with critters for people to skin and make hats out of. It's kind of a sardonic line. I think that's kind of funny. I get a couple times I've shown it. That's got some laughs. You kind of find out what laughs. I started like so. Another one of the great musicians, and I hope to call an old friend, is Jerry Joseph, and he had this song "Bears That Dance," talking about sitting at the bar. This is totally done surreptitiously. I just had my camera laying down there. So again, I guess I'm fucking Banksy-like in that aspect. This is inside the place there. This is one of the shots. It's better resonates. Now, if you play the drinking game, you've got to drink it. You went to 9.5% IPA. Okay. I was going to do the live chat thing about that, but maybe I need somebody else. But I still want it. I still won't help him. Usually have a bottle opener on my keychain. I still have that shirt. I like that line a lot. That's one of my favorite. Because I'd heard that before. Somebody said, "What's your angle, German?" And this is interesting too, because now we're going down a different. This almost seems like an infomercial for Cafe Ibis, but it's just kind of what happened, and I think it's just kind of goes to the flavor of trying to tell the story of a small town, because it was an important entity in this town. This is Cafe Ibis, a 45-year-old coffee roaster. The Coffee Garden in Salt Lake, that's what you're drinking if you go there. This was, of course, real fun to photograph. Got some really good light, and I don't think I used any, because, again, at White Rudimentary, there were some lights I think they used. Well, there you can see them there. They used those for the roasting, and that's the way it was lit. This guy isn't with doing that anymore, but he was there for a while. I think he's still a roaster, though. I tell you, when you walk out of the Ibis and take your first sip of coffee, it's like you're in another world. It's coffee that just takes you to different places. It's like there's coffee, and then there is the Ibis coffee. It's impeccable. Learned a little bit about fair use with this, in that what you can use and what you can't use. No, I've never had any challenges. Nobody said take that down or anything. Jeff Bezos just is the only one that ever said that. But it's true. There's a lot more coffee shops in town now, though. There was that one, and now there's a good 6 or 7, and there's what I call right-wing coffee. Right-wing coffee here. Left-wing coffee. Oh, yeah. Go see your new buddy. He's downstairs. Hey, buddy. I put it in a cat door. The cat can use it both ways now. There's Sally. She's still with us. She sold the coffee company to the accountant. I kind of like the sound at the end. I wanted to do something with that. This is real. This is a real fun thing. I was able to capture some fun things that happened that year. But this is a party they've had, and then they allow men to help them out to this woman's party, and they all dress up and wear hats. Cache Valley Ladies Hat Party. It's like decades old. This is kind of like just a little diversion of my creative mind, my absorbing mind, seeing this material and thinking it was pretty cool, and photographing it a little bit. And then it kind of shows you the lay of the land there up in Lava Hot Springs. Which is a place you all should go. I like this too. I thought it was pretty edgy. And I didn't, I just didn't do minutes and minutes of footage with all this stuff. I just took stuff and then if I had it, I put it in there. This is the venue for this party. It was a beautiful place. And it hasn't been the same. They moved it back to Logan, and it's just not like it was there. That was a real full-blown event there. And they're talking about the ladies. Janis Joplin was a popular motif. Southern Comfort was what she drank, which is whiskey and sugar flavoring. And then we introduce our other character. Now I'd like to know what she's doing too. And she shares a lot with that stoner in the beginning. But yeah, she was striking looking. It's one of the best photos I've ever taken in my life, I think. And it says so much. That camera it could do really well. It's just not in tune now, so I have mixed feelings about not using it, but most of these women are quite young, by this point. I like that. That's I think the funniest, most witty line in the whole thing. Didn't say fucking, but it was implied. The F word was another thing. Thought about bleeping all the F words out because that's just the way I talk. I'm a little brat from Skyline High School, but now it doesn't matter. The F word is just common, and I started to get that when I looked at editing. I think Herc said, "Oh, that F word's common," So that's one of the great photos. Just the color and everything on that. And this is another good band that let me use this stuff. Giant Panda Gorilla Dub Squad. They're the only East Coast band, and they were just nice about it, And then this just kind of happened, It's just one of those things, and putting the whole thing together too, because I didn't know. I wanted to use Phil Lesh's Celebration for that last one, which is a Phil Lesh song that he wrote, but it was like with one of these mega record labels, there's no way you could get a yes on that. So I found that other one because I'd liked that for a while and I went with that. And so then I find these Idaho dreadlocks that just fit in. Here's Jeff introducing what he's doing. Hope everything's charged up because you're running for a long time. He had this little plot of land that our friend owned and was letting him. Providence is over this way. It's very kind of a calm and idyllic place. Very, bucolic, but mainly residential. talk about organic and that basically there's a lot of money in the organic vegetable or whatever it is industry, but a lot of it's really dictated by who the government licenses and all that, as opposed to actually the mechanics of it being organic. They can be the same, but they can't be labeled organic unless you have that seal from the government. There's the Wellsvilles, beautiful mountains on the other side. I guess this guy sold this land and they sold those. I like to see it a lot too. It kind of speaks for itself. This might have made me look misogynistic, I guess. I don't know. I thought it was funny. If you don't like stuff like South Park, you might not like my stuff. But of course, Tinder. So by this time, I was used to recording a lot of the stuff that I was doing, and then kind of just splicing it with the dog there, you know. And this the soundtrack on this one is a public domain jazz thing, and so once that was one of the things I found for the music too. Besides like going to some of these bands I liked, there was a site where they had tons of stuff that was applicable, so I got several of that. So that kind of adds a flair to the soundtrack. I think the soundtrack would be really cool if you had it. Not just the stuff that was done specially for it, but the stuff that they let us use, and including the public domain stuff. So here I am. This is probably not nice. I'd be nice about that woman's nose, but Krishna Zola. Oh, this is pretty funny too. There's so many things like something is blurry in the foreground. Is that okay or is that not okay? And a lot of this just stuff happened. It's like that was the focus. So like this, I don't know if that photo was actually that blurry or not, or that's just part of the camera. And Tom Williams will never ask me that question, so Kelly can't answer it. They still do this, trick or treat on Main Street. This is where the brew pub is now. This just happened, and I love this. I went to a show at one of the ski resorts, and I had a few U-inches, and I just saw this. I love the Golden Light like anybody, and I just heard never buy a boat. It's just that there's a succession of years. What will happen with each year? Your costs, your friendships. As you have the boat. So that's Ken Sanders' brother was telling me that. This got made into houses now. This is a big, not big, but there's a bunch of houses going in there right now. But again, this is a good 7-8 years ago that this was taken. Mostly in 2015, 16. All right, here's Jeffrey. He's the guy that did the. I'll show it to this people too. He did this. He's a painter and a thinker. I was going to go back into the Peace Corps, but he didn't. So I haven't seen him, but it looks like maybe got a new car, so I think he's doing okay. This is Nadra. This is a friend from college's sister. And she's been a judge for my Utah Cheese Awards. This is a cool antique store downtown. I didn't use lighting, but when you get into these USU buildings, a couple of the USU buildings, the lighting was really, really good, and you didn't need anything. And this is just toning it to make it look like the 1960s, which I think works pretty well. Well, we have the cash now, I have to say. Now we have the cash. This is pre-cash. The cash bar is the new bar in town. This is Mulligan's, this is the old bar. And this is I'm glad I got this. This is Felipe. He was hit by a car several years ago. You can't. He's from Brazil, but rest in peace. Getting some more of the lingo of the church. So there's definitely an underground of people here. This place just moved. I just thought this was interesting for how nerdy these people were and all these weird games they were playing. Just seemed like that was kind of show that side of life as well as show any side of life. This is at the American Legion Hall at a Little Women show, and I want to scan those photos. They've been there for 40 years, and I need to. There's some good things that were from my photography 101 at USU. Yeah, she did a really good job. I think she made this sculpture though. I don't know what it's made out of. This is a really intense lighting on this, where you can just see the spittle coming out of his mouth. But he was talking about that you could just walk around in Logan and there'd be parties. Hear a party, go to a party. The National Tequila Day is something I capitalized on early. Made a t-shirt. I think it was after I started making t-shirts, so it was my third or fourth year, but these are the kind the frats were selling. I thought I could do that. The owl's still there. I changed hands. This looks pretty much the same. It's got a lot of character back there. It does, that's for sure. And this guy moved to St. George. He retired and moved to St. George, so I saw him once in the last few years. But there's my National Tequila Day t-shirt. I think it holds up pretty well. That's back when typesetting was typesetting. This is another interesting thing. I had to send away to the Ford Museum to get that photo. But yes, President's son went here, and that was created kind of an aura. He's still alive, as far as I know. This guy's a character. He did a really good job. You can see how well lit it is there in the special collections. So basically, they're both telling the same story. So it's like a story that happened multiple times in multiple places. You know, that whenever the president's son was at a big party, they shoot away the local law enforcement. That's a good line there. This is pretty much exactly the same thing. It's just told a little bit differently. And I like the way that the, back and forth worked with that. Privilege in high places, eh? This, sometimes that's all you could get. But it's him with the Secret Service guys, and I thought it worked out. He had a different, like I say, the art doesn't have to be perfect to tell the story. This was the house that he did live in there, though. You kind of had to be in the know, but that's where he lived when he was here. And back into the dead of the horrible, dark, gray Cass Valley winter. So this just kind of came together. I interviewed all these people. They're all mentioning the party school thing. I heard about it. So I just kind of delved into it, So I do have a minor in journalism. I don't know. I have a minor in communications. But I have worked for 3 magazines. This is one of the best lines. I'll tell you about Old Ephraim, and you have to look at it, Grizzly on your own. So how do I look? How I age in 10 years? I look better? Worse? What do you think? Not worse. My friend and dad worked for Playboy magazine. Yeah, so it was an urban legend. It was all an urban legend. So don't believe everything you hear. Got a few of these photos out of the yearbook. These are actually friends. That guy died. She's an old friend. Well, this starts to get really emotional. I love this part of it. I love, that first color of that first, and this song. This guy's an artist, Jeff Crosby. I met through Jerry Joseph, and this song just totally matches with this is what I was going through at this, thinking of the previous parts about my life, up in this kind of grayish shit, These are just writing in college and people that were instrumental. There's Jerry Joseph, instrumental guy in my history. And there's my Lion of Zion t-shirt. Iconic t-shirt. And then this is one of those things where you just want to try something where, like, what will happen if I do these clouds coming in? These deer I just ran into going up to Green Canyon. And then kind of like this montage of that little space there. These are why I took my t-shirts around. This is burning my lawsuit with Itochu International. I can hear lawyers like, stop. Oh, we got to find out. What is that suit? That's my son. Liar to the sun. This is Escalante, Utah. Where I'd go down to these Everett Roos days to sell my licensed Everett Roos merchandise. This was a nice place to stay, but there's a lot of German bikers that go down there in southern Utah. This is out in the middle of the road going into Wayne County. Dr. Keller died, and this is the wake of another friend, John Pingree. So people have died. These are kind of the skyline high, above the code, deadhead, above the boulevard, deadheads. Changing the color, but not matching up exactly. And that was done in Mill Creek, but I just like the closeness of that. Park's right over there. It's a stone's throw away. Right where I live now. They haven't done that, and they're not going to do that because they have a new rink. This is where my friend Jeff lives. One of his early paintings, he went down to South America, Paraguay. I think it was Paraguay, I don't know where it was. Mate, this is an interesting thing. I've known a few hippie type people that got into drinking this mate. But he, we sat down. He knew right what we were doing. He was ready for this interview, and he did a really good job. I hope it's been good for him. I see his growth personally, definitely his growth in his art. He's still living in the same place. A little sip there. Jeff's was raised in an LDS household, and I think he had issues with that, like some people I know, with being LDS. Disharmonic. Or it could be a specific instances. I like this a lot. I thought this was definitely Sundance worthy. That part. Again, you reach out. He's got photos I can use, so things come together. And it's having been a magazine art director and done some stuff where we use historical photos. I'm kind of adept at that. It's a good trick. It's just because nothing tells the story like the actual thing, Again, the focus isn't perfect. Go down and find your new friend. This is his first show at Cafe Ibis. He's had a couple shows at the library in Salt Lake. But art isn't about being great, necessarily great. It's about the act of art and seeing, and it's just like he talks about right here, the beauty of seeing in things and interpreting it in your way to your best of your ability. So look at this stuff, man. This is a canyon that you come in here. But this is off on a little bit of a, maybe trying to put too much stuff in there or not, but we're talking about the inversion, which is a kind of a serious thing. I guess it depends on how long you want your thing. But it's definitely worthwhile to people. But this is the cold air coming down and it traps all the pollutants. So when you're down into that soup, it's pretty bad. And Logan's been the worst, partly just because, and he explains it right here. Some of these are just off the cuff, like I caught that, but that was the right thing to use because it shows, you actually see the exhaust. So Netflix, yeah, I'm willing to work on a project with you. Just let me know. StevenRjohn@gmail.com. Jim with the J. I got a lot of my own footage too. His bicycle brand again. Boy, he's a pillar of society here. Some of these things you get, like you scratch his shoulder, it makes it look real. And this is true. I never got why people warmed up their cars. The guy next door used to do it and didn't like it. Just wasting your gas. Now this was truly an interesting thing. So if you're in the drinking game, open sessions. This was just kind of filler I did with this little cart to see what I could do for B-roll. It turned out pretty good, It's my little kitchen there. But yeah, I went into the store and this little girl just tripped out on me. Trying to emulate what might be surveillance video, black and white, I don't know. Now I go back into that store now, it's changed. Now it's like a discount place. But sure as hell all of that happened. So bless me for what? I don't know. Bless me, Father, for I have sinned. Yeah, you got it. No way you use the Beatles song, that's for sure. But you can do that. So yeah, this is true. The reality of the January is up here. That's what you're up against. And I didn't have a coverage. I just had a slight coverage of my thing. And yeah, you can just see what it's like. It's just dead. It's just... the candy you can't always go through. Alright, so, sometimes life is really fun, and this is one of the times. Often when you're not doing your day-to-day, and maybe you're a little tipsy. Netflix, this is copyrighted, do you know that? Yeah, that just stuff kind of happened, kind of makes Portland look like some kind of fashion city. Mary's, I did go in there. I had to move. I love this. This is a famous statue. I can't remember what its name is, but it's a statue in Portland. And I just totally just came up with that stuff on the spot. As I did with this. Walk around Portland with my camera, a little tipsy. I think that's funny too. I had an issue with the sound here. The sound wasn't, so it's one of those things where you had to work around, but this is part of, I think, some of the heaviest thing. I mean, when you go out in the modern world of modern poetry, I just heard this on the radio when I was there, and I just think, whoa, that is a heavy poem. So I looked it up. And as I said, I was 100% on the rights on this, so I asked to get permission, and he had a publicist saying he wanted $40. I guess that's what you get for publishing a poem. So I was like, send him the $40. His widow can go out to dinner. Order something, I guess. But it's an amazing poem. I've almost got it committed to memory. Never let go of the thread. That's who you are. forget who killed MLK either. So now the story begins to kind of arc here. Yeah, I don't know, it would look different if it was all pristine video, but... Now it's time to drink it Tecate. This is sad. So this was, again, something I just kind of knew about and brought in, and does it fit or not, you know? It's true, it happened here. It's like, you know, it's been done recently in other places, but you get a bunch of people to lift a car off. It's just... The background music is based on a composition by Jerry Joseph called Climb to Safety, but I don't think he wanted to copy it exactly, the artist. So I don't think it's exactly, but it's supposed to be this guy's interpretation of Jerry Joseph's famous song Climb to Safety that was done with the Or by Wide Street Panic. But it's really true. Most of the people in this valley are very, very nice. It's just true, you know. And then the ones that aren't, you kind of learn what's good about them, what's not good about them, you know. But there's very little uninformed opinions because you're just in with everybody, you know. There, as he survived, I think I did write him, I think, and I'm sure his settlement precluded him from saying anything. This is all right, also right out of Logan Canyon. It's kind of a busy type of a thing. Yeah, it's really moody here. But yeah, I came home after I had gone to Portland, and the Cal said she was acting really weird. So I don't know if something happened while she was there. That's Gina the Kachina from New Jersey, came Santa Fe to New Jersey. This is this woman. The post office is not happy with my dog. The whole story. What happened was the landlord left the Jeff Footy left the gate open, and I said she's dying, and I was sad. If you think that's fake, you're wrong. But she was a beautiful dog. Here she is. She can watch too. This is what they call the second dam. It's just a few miles up the canyon here, and it's the most beautiful little area. Lots of fish in there. Lots of fishing in the summer, but in the winter, I saw these things. Wow, check those out. You know, we try to get through our life, but these birds have got to fly to South America. I mean, I don't know how to fly to South America. Rip Rusey. So that was kind of the apex of the grimness. And we try to end on a positive note here. Again, just something kind of happened. They had set up and they went by. Skipped by. I was actually taking on my iPad. That just happened to be up there, but that's our temple, which is one of the cooler ones, actually. I think more dramatic looking. I'd love to go in there, but I'm not sure I'm willing to do that. I'll let my son baptize me when I'm dead. You can be Catholic and Mormon, right? Someone still has a show. This is a thing they did every year. They still do it, but I don't think they do it at the park. That was the end of the farmer's market. Photo I took in San Francisco. I have one of these. I ended up with one of those. That's a story for another video. They got rid of those. Those are kind of ugly. So this last scene, I love it. Again, I don't know how, you know, I just kind of, all right, this is the way it's going to work. And, of course, I had to have the source material. I had to be there and do that and film all that stuff to know. Got to use some of the soundtrack here. And this is the Ibis street dance. I didn't want to do a voiceover. I just did something that I did a voiceover. So it is what it is, and I'm fine with it. I could possibly do something with the voiceover, and I love this music. This guy was the realtor who got me this place. Rest in peace, motherfucker. He was a good guy, man. He could cut a rug and kill you with his bare hands. But they did. He was my realtor here, and I wouldn't have this place without him. And he died of COVID. And I don't know if they've done the street dance at all again, but I just kind of love this. I love this song. Marvin Gaye's estate's really, but I think I have the right because it's a fair use thing to use that. But I just like the way that ended. Again, how many seconds before you do all this stuff? It's just like you kind of have to look at. So yeah, 2 years I was out of there. Not sponsored by Apple, but send computers. But I know you won't because you're so cheap. You never do that. You may write the president. He can read it at 7 a.m. And now, yep, cheese. And here it is, Rusey. She was a working dog. Water, cattle, and this is where she peed. That was her pee. And this, I was listening to something else, but I just like the way this ended. You know, this is me. It's me, motherfuckers. Like a good greasy waffle. All right, well, there you know. That's my little documentary. It has a certain feel to it, you know. You get in there, but I was actually depression kind of surrounded this period. I'm really happy to say that I'm not depressed like that anymore. So, took 10 years, a 10-year deal. Well, we don't have any kind of interface, any questions you can ask me. I'm real easy to get a hold of. Yeah, I'm really easy to get a hold of. I have email, I have Facebook, I have Instagram, I have several websites that all show you my address, GPS to the door. I am open for all kinds of considerations. After Harris to kind of talk to me, help me with this, and he declined, and he said, "You're not going to make a cent off that," which he told other people, which wasn't exactly true. I got the gift from my donor, which was more than a cent, that's for sure, and then just kind of time went, you know, those first few years, but. Yeah, this is, you know, our cameras are looking at us all the time, you know, camera in my own place. I mean, there are cameras outside of this place. I don't know that I needed a camera. I did one video here that should have been really good if I ever find it. Nothing really against Nest. They did a fine job, I thought, with all this, but that I can't even remember what it was that I was laughing about, but, you know, you always got to have a gag reel at the end so people will stay in their seats. And then the gavel thing is the PTSD gavel. But yeah, all right. All right, people, well, I wish you well. And I'll be around. How do I end this? I guess I just exit. And trust to get saved. Same here.